is to make sure that every student has chance to excel both in school and in life. Increasingly, children's success in school determines their success as adult, determining whether and where they go to college, what professions that they enter, and how much they are paid. Definition: culturally and socially disadvantaged individuals are those who have been subjected to recall or ethnic prejudice or cultural bias because of their identity as member of group without regard to their individual qualities. This must be distinguished from the economically disadvantaged. Economically disadvantaged individuals are those individuals who have ability to freely compete in the system has been weakened due to the reduced material comfort as compared to others. Thus, there could be individuals who are socially disadvantaged and not economically disadvantaged. Economically disadvantaged but not socially disadvantaged, both socially and economically disadvantaged. Some of the typical characteristics of the culturally and socially disadvantaged are: number 1, health. Factor included in the health disadvantages are low birth weight, childhood injuries, deficiency in immunization, disability or sickness, mortality, life expectancy, mental health patients treated in hospitals, and suicide. Number 2, community safety. Next, for most issues to be discussed is community safety, in which confirmed child maltreatment, criminal conventions, prisons admission, and domestic violence, and so on. Number 3, economic factors also play a vital role in the social disadvantages. The issues pretending economic factors are low family income, unskilled workers, unemployment or long-term unemployment, low mean taxable income, and low access to computer use or access to internet or technological advancement. Number 4, education. A foremost issues to be discussed with regards to social disadvantages in education. Factors of this to be discussed are not attendance at preschool, incomplete education, early school living, and poor post-schooling qualifications, both socially and economically disadvantaged. This category deserves utmost attention. The very poor children are especially disadvantaged, far more the children at or just below the poverty line. Some children from the tribal belt who have a different culture orientation have an added disadvantages when exposed to normal schooling. Culturally and socially disadvantaged children begin school at kindergarten in systematically lower quality elementary schools than their more advantaged counterparts. The least advantaged children began their formal schooling in consistently lower quality schools. This reinforces the inequalities that develop even before child reach school age. Children who have a poor start in life, whether because of social, economic or social and economic disadvantage, are more likely to develop learning, behavioral or emotional problem which may have far-reaching consequences through their lives and in turn their lives for their children. This gets a snowball effect and gets expressed as in the form of increased social inequality and reduced productivity. Social inequalities in school increases as children advance through a school mainly because of early differences in educational experiences and extend through elementary school and become well recognized by high school. Hence, early equalization of differences become important. Socio-economic status is quite strongly related to cognitive skills. It influences the child's cognitive development even more strongly than some of the other factors that influences the development of cognitive ability, including race, ethnicity, family education expectations, and access to quality childcare, home reading, computer use, and television habits. Also, disadvantaged children start kindergarten with significantly lower cognitive skill than their more advantaged counterparts. These same disadvantaged children are placed in low resource schools, magnifying the initial inequality. Although the family has the primary responsibility for and influence on the well-being and development of children, the school and the broader environment in which children live are also influential. Schools most increasingly deal with this problem of integrating social and economic diversity. Child development, social and environmental factors. Child health and developmental can be affected by a range of social and environment factors. These include quality of parenting and the home atmosphere. Parenting, whether by a biological parent or caregiver or another family member such as a grandparent, has a powerful influence on children's health development and well-being. Parenting also provides an important mechanism by which children learn about their culture and heritage and develop their own identities and understandings of the world. Factors that influence the quality of life a child receives included: number 1, affordability and location of child has direct impact on health and overall developmental outcomes. Living in unhealthy location will have a detrimental effect on child's learning. Number 2, family knowledge about the range of health and social services available and the appropriateness of these services may also influence their use by families. Number 3, the availability and affordability of nutritious food, including fresh fruit and vegetables, access and quality of school lunches and breakfasts, the ability of a family to provide adequate meal and snacks each day, and knowledge of food and nutrition matters within the family may all affect child nutrition. Number 4, physical activity can have an impact on child health and development and may be affected by access to local recreational facilities such as sporting club, sufficient time for children to engage in physical activities, and positive parental and sporting role model. Number 5, exposure to health risks such as inadequate shade from the sun and exposure to smoke may increases the risk of children developing medical conditions such as cancer. Number 6, exposure to air and water pollution or exposure to air and water that is of poor quality may also affect child health and development. Number 7, risk taking behaviors such as peer group pressure to experiment with the drug and or alcohol and unprotected sex may increases the likelihood of young adult developing physical or mental health issues. Number 8, access to and take up of immunization may have a long term impact on child's adult health. Number 9, the amount of time parents are able to spend with their children. This may be influenced by work or study pressure, employment conditions, access to a transport and commuting time, and managing multiple care roles within the family, such as looking after more than one child, a family member with an illness or disability, or a fairly aged parent. The type of interaction between parents and their children. For example, children will learn best when they have relationship with adults that are secure and trusting. Number 11, the amount of conflict between parents and relationship difficulties, including breakdown. Number 12, parental alcohol, drug abuse and mental health issues. Number 13, financial pressures. Number 14, quality of accommodation, including overcrowding and level of security. It is important for a school to realize all this and take an extra effort to deal with the children's hygiene and general health and overall development by whatever methods possible. In the context of the first generation school students as well as other who have any some or all of the above, parent education, home visit and most of all insistence on neatness, quality food, physical exercise and immunization will go on long way is overcome these disadvantages. Child care. It is common for school age children to be cared for by the people other than their parents on a short time, recurrent or irregular basis. Care arrangements range from formal government regulated care in center of home based setting to play groups and informal unregulated care typically provided by grandparents, siblings, friends, neighbors or nannies. Some parents used to mix of formal and informal arrangements. Additionally, most children experience one or more year of an early education program provided in a preschool setting prior to starting school. A family's decision about children care may be influenced by further such as type of care available, from where they get the care, working hours of parents, economy of family, commitments what they have towards family, other caring roles played in the family, access to transport from the place they reside, awareness of the parents about care benefits or drawbacks and support or supplement provided by government. Benefits of child care services. Number 1, Child care or similar services can provide a break for parents, particularly in the case of children with special needs and children with both parent working. Number 2, research suggests that early childhood education programs are effective in improving outcomes for young children, particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds. Benefits include improved cognitive and social development and better transitions to a primary school. Number 3, early childhood education program also have a long-term benefit from children, such as higher rates of school completion and reduced criminal activity. However, a word of caution is necessary here. Extremely long hours of care with reduced parental interaction may have a negative effect. The quality of care is of great importance and must not be compromised upon. In the case of the socially and or economically disadvantaged, often this gets compromised because of affordability and the quality of the caregiver in terms of her education and social competence. Hence, it may be important for school to monitor such care facilities that children of the school use and intervene when the nature and quality of children care is found have a negative influence on the child's desirable growth and development. Often, the school itself may have some kind of remedial or extra program in after school hours and give them necessary care to the children. In the alternative, a school may attach itself to a selective caregivers and coordinate with the facilities. However, the real challenge comes when such caregivers are and often they are family members such as grandparents, siblings, friends, neighbors or older family members. Their intention may be and often is sincere, but they may lack the necessary knowledge and skills and their own exposure and competence may limit the child's development. In such cases, the school need to address the problem through educational workshops and counseling for these people and help the children in a more befitting manner. Education. Families play a vital role in their children's learning and educational development. A child's academic progress and level of engagement at school is affected by number 1, learning environment provided at home. Number 2, parents' attitude and values towards education. Number 3, parent involvement in the child's schooling in terms of involvement in school's events. Example, parent-teacher meeting and other activities. A family's ability to provide a stimulating home learning environment and engaging in the educational process can be limited by the financial disadvantage, low parental education, attainment, parental mental health problems, quarreling parents and few other family problems. The ability of parents to be involved in their children's school may also be affected by the work requirements and work pressure expressed at home. Financial pressures, ability to take leave from work and other time pressures such as study or care for other children or adults in the family. The availability of transport to get to school, language barrier, culture barriers and social expectation also play a part in determining the ability of parents. The school, while being sympathetic and understanding, should insist on parental participation in the long term interest of the child. Parents need to be educated and counseled about the differences between the urgent and the importance of such understanding. They should also impressed upon to deal with and not neglect the important wise the child's education by giving the urgent wise the delay work and home pressures as excess however valid. The school should hesitate to gently exercise its authority and insist on parental participation and parent education as and when called for. Cultural and linguistic diversity. Cultural and linguistic diversity refers to people who identify with particular group based on their birthplace, ethnic, language, values, beliefs or world views. This does not mean that everyone from particular culture group will hold exactly the same values or do things in the same way. Showing support for cultural diversity involves talking with people to find out how best to include them and respect their culture needs. Children and family from different backgrounds and culture may face a range of challenges as they find their way into the broader society. Migration and resettlement. Resettling in a new place involves finding housing, employment, school, social connection and services. Lack of knowledge about how things work in the new environment and communication difficulties can make the challenges of resettlement all the more stressful. Family, friends and others who would normally provide support may have been left behind in the move. Feeling of loneliness, isolation or concern for those left behind can occur. These difficulties affect both children and adults. When migration is prompted by particularly stressful experiences, as is the case of refugees, there can be additional challenges for resettlement and well-being. Traumatic experience may have occurred through a being exposed to violence, war or torture. These kinds of high stressful circumstances remain difficult long after event that caused them. Some of the common reactions that may occur including increased fear and anxiety which may lead to clinging behavior, re-experiencing the trauma when feeling threatened or difficulty in trusting and connecting with others. Such difficulties may sometimes lead to extreme independence and mistrust of others and or social isolation. For some children who have been traumatized, feelings or pain and anger can also lead to behavior problems. Difficulties associated with past trauma and resettlement can affect learning and school performance of children from refugee backgrounds. Teachers who are faced with such situation need to special training in understanding and dealing with such children. Language and communication. Language can be a major barrier. Lacking English language skill can undermine confidence, learning at school more difficult and contribute to social isolation. Concern about language skill can make communication with schools more difficult for parents and carriers. Communication issues can arise in other ways as well when the experiences, customs and beliefs of children and family from different culture backgrounds are not recognized or valued. It can lead to a miscommunication. For example, making eye contact when speaking to someone else is considered a sign of respect in some cultures. However, in some other culture, respect is shown by lowering eyes or looking away. Language development. The mother speech particularly and the spoken language at home generally is closely linked to young children's vocabulary development. Early vocabulary development is strongly associated with later school performance. The elaboration of early language interactions is strongly influenced by social class. Moreover, socially linked language development observed in very young children is found to be a quite stable and difficult to change. When the language base of school and that of for the home differs, the child get be even more disadvantaged educationally. This is difficulty to hurdle to tackle by the teachers, especially if class has differing language orientations. Keeping language using simple and insisting that all children use the same structure and vocabulary goes a long way in not only equalizing language differences, but also other culture and social aspect as language plays a strong pivotal role in the culture and social life and individual. Discrimination and racism. Being subjected to a strict and discriminatory attitude is problem for many people from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. This is especially an issue in the context of education for all at the primary level. Exclusive schools will not serve the purpose of equalizing and inclusive schools may not be equipped to meet the challenges. Both overrent racism, example name calling and bullying, and other convert racism, example ignoring or otherwise disadvantaging those from diverse backgrounds can leave children and adults feeling marginalized and disempowered with negative impact on well-being. The effects of racism and discrimination make resettlement more difficult for families and create a undue stress and social disadvantage. Racism increases children's sense of differences and vulnerability by devaluing their culture and making them feel unwelcome. Schools, particularly those who have a good number of such children, need to sensitize themselves and their teacher and other caregivers to empathize with the issues, cater to differing needs through a counseling and special attention, and at the same time be absolutely firm in insisting that school expectations in terms of behavior and learning are met. If any of three aspects get missed out, the purpose of an inclusive education will not get served. Parenting and values across cultures. Cultural differences in parenting practices can lead to a tension. Common differences relate to the way in which affection is shown the children, attitudes to physical punishment, and how much emphasis is placed to family responsibility compared with promoting children's independence. Some cultural practice have very strict code of behavior according to age and or gender. If the school has dramatically opposing values, then the child becomes confused with divided loyalties, not knowing what to do. This is difficult to handle. The easy way out of to deny the child admission to the school, but that is not correct, and in the case of government schools and aided school, it is not permissible either. In such cases, it becomes the school's responsibility to convince or be convinced and modify their approach to be more inclusive. If the school has different thought, not opposing values, the extra attention is needed to impress both the child and parents that differences can coexist, as what is different is not what is wrong. This will enlarge their horizons and pave the way to large canvas to perform and grow in. Conclusion. Student, we have discussed in detail about the culturally and social disadvantaged children. These children have been subjected to recall or ethnic prejudice. It is important for a school to realize all those factors and take extra effort to deal with the child's hygiene and general health and overall developmental by whatever methods possible. In the context of first generation school students, parents' education, home visit, and most of all insistence on neatness, quality food, physical exercises, and immunization will go long way overcoming disadvantages. We also analyzed that it is common for school age children to be cared for by people other than their parents on short term, recurrent or irregular basis. The quality of care is of a great importance and must not be compromised upon. The real challenge comes when such caregivers or family members such as grandparents or older family members. Their intention may be sincere, but they may lack the necessary exposure and competence. The school needs to have educational workshops and counseling to help the children in a more benefiting manner. Factors also play a vital role in the social disadvantages. The school will being sympathetic and understanding should insist on parental participation. Children and family from different backgrounds and culture may face a range of challenges as they find their way into the broader society. Schools can need to play a critical role in supporting and engaging students and families from diverse backgrounds. They also have a significant responsibility to promote a values of mutual respect and understanding and to effective address problems of discrimination when they occur in the school setting. By actively promoting the needs and interest of culturally diverse backgrounds and building relationship from trust and understanding, schools can make a positive differences to the students' mental health and well-being. Having a positive sense of belongingness in both settings, schools and home, helps children move between culture with greater ease and confidence and increases their motivation and participation in school. Thank you.